Go. Hello and welcome. Welcome to our show this week. It's the Dare to Be You TV show. And here we are. I'm Bec. This is Deb, in case you don't know us yet. It's great to have you with us. So we have an amazing show for you today. Over the last couple of weeks, we've been getting some absolutely fantastic questions and topics from people. Some real...
I think we've been stirring the pot a bit.
Real get your teeth into them kind
absolutely.
of topics. So we're not going to let you down today either. But as always, just before we dive into this week's show, we like to just tell you a bit about what we've got coming up so that you never have to miss out and you can join in with all the fun that we get up to. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my programme that I've got coming up, my signature programme, and the masterclass that I'm hosting just before that starts. So it's something I've been beavering away at, working on behind the scenes for a couple of months.
On her computer.
Deb can hear me tapping away.
I can.
My programme is called Finding Your Voice, and that's a 6-month self-study programme that includes some one-to-one time with me, some group calls, and amazing content that really guides you to finding your space in the world, you know, finding that place, that thing that you want to do, the next adventure you're ready to have, and if it is your actual voice, being able to share something that's powerful and helpful in the world. Because I know for the longest time, for me, I was too afraid to do that. You know, I squashed myself, I held myself back, I hid in a corner. You know, as the saying goes, I hid my light under a bushel. And we can't do that for long before something tells us that we're struggling, something points us to seeing that that's not what we're designed to do. We're designed to be out in the world doing what it is that's ours to do. And that'll be different. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, it is different for everyone.
We all have our passions, our callings in life. But if you know that you're ready to find out what your voice is ready to say, then this programme could well be for you. So we'll make sure there's some links below to find out a bit more about that.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, I'm hosting a masterclass, which is a 2.5-hour online event on Sunday, the 8th of November. And it's standalone. It's not part of the full programme. But if you want to get to know a little bit more about the full programme, that would be a great place to start. So again, there'll be a link below to find out all about that. It's time to share you. It's time to be who you are out in the world. And This is the place to find out more.
Yeah, the world is a little bit of a crazy place at the moment, and it needs all those people that have been hiding to come out.
Come out of the woodwork.
Find their voices and be a part of the world. Absolutely. And it kind of follows on a little bit from that. One of the first programs that Bec ever did that really, I just watched her blossom, I just watched her change before my eyes, was when she did a program called The Warrior's Journey. And so we decided, that was first done in 2015. And it's a 90-day program, and you get an email every single day pointing you towards something, giving you something to reflect on, giving you things to do, giving you things to read, to watch. And yeah, I literally watched Bec change before my eyes as she did The Warrior's Journey. It was certainly a massive catalyst for her. So we decided that we would look at the Warrior's Journey, bring it bang up to date for 2020 and put it on our website so that other people can do it. Because I know we've talked about it a lot, and a lot of people are always saying, you know, well, can I do the Warrior's Journey? Can I do that? Well, yeah, any minute now you can. We've almost finished getting it ready, and it's going to be available hopefully by the end of this week. So watch this space, and if you are interested and you don't see a link, then message us, and as soon as the link is ready, we will send it to you. Because yeah, the Warrior's Journey, it's an amazing program, absolutely brilliant, and I can't wait. As we've been revamping it, we've actually been sending the emails to ourselves. We've actually been doing the Warrior's Journey again, and it's just great. I'm just absolutely loving every minute of it. So yeah, if you want to know more about that, let us know. Look out for the link. We're going to be talking about it lots over the next couple of weeks.
it's back, it's bigger, and it's better than ever before. The Warriors Journey,
totally.
not to be missed.
We still have on our phones a WhatsApp group called Warriors, and we still refer to ourselves as the Warriors. So absolutely, get involved, become a warrior with us.
Yeah, it's been our journey.
It has, totally, absolutely. Yeah, we would love you to be one of our warriors.
Absolutely. So on with the show. So a couple of weeks ago, we were on a group call on a program that we're running, and I can't remember what we said exactly, but somebody said something off the back of what we'd shared. And essentially what they were asking was, is it the time to fight for change? Like, is it, when things are happening out in the world that aren't great, that we don't like, that we don't agree with, is it right and is it time to go out and fight and make changes in the world? And how does that work? How does that, how do we do that? And if we're doing that, is that actually putting good out into the world, or is that the way to go about it? And it's quite a big topic, and it's quite a big something to sink our teeth into today for the show. But we wanted to talk a little bit about what we saw around that. So essentially the topic today is it time to fight for change? And what we see.
So much going on in the world at the moment, isn't there? With the virus, that's something that most of us have never, the world is quite a different place. And then there's all the stuff that's been a little bit eclipsed by that, all the Brexit, or however you say that, Brexit, and climate change, climate change, Black Lives Matter, all of these things.
Yeah, and in America, there's the elections coming up. So I know certainly across the part of the world that we're most familiar with, there's a lot of big things happening out in the world. And I know if you kind of look back on history, things like women's rights, gay rights, even like at the moment, Black Lives Matter has been something that's come back up again. But that I don't know, 100 years ago, I'm not sure, I'm not great at history. But that there was a time when that really was prevalent, that fighting for rights for people, for Black people, was extremely important, and a lot of movements happened around that. And so very much what we wanted to talk about today is where change kind of really comes from, where sustainable change really comes from. Yeah. Because I hear a lot of people, and I see a lot of people sharing stuff around any of those things, any of the stuff that's going on in the world, and how those things have to change. And sadly, a lot of the stuff I read and see and hear from people is very fear driven. And so what I wanted to start this topic with is getting to know, like, real, true, sustainable change can only ever start with ourselves, getting to know ourselves and understanding what drives us, like seeing the places when we're coming from fear, seeing that for me personally, when I'm driven by fear, the stuff that I do out in the world isn't great. It isn't going to bring about real, lasting, helpful change. It's just going to put more fear into the world. And I think the kind of question, is it time to fight for change? Like, kind of embedded in the word fight is some fearful thinking, some fearful experience, some fearful stuff that's going on for people. And so for me, it's about starting with me, and knowing, that kind of really amazing and famous quote, be the change you wish to see in the world. Because really that's the only place that change can come from. And as I see that, I notice I don't have to fight for it in quite such an aggressive and fearful way. Change that is really going to happen and take place in the world has to start from me actually letting go of the fear, actually seeing the truth of who I am. And from there, what I do will make a difference. It can't not, because as I step back into knowing that I am love and I am the essence of the entire universe, it can't not have an impact. And something about that starts to shift something for me. And then it has to impact out in the world.
I think sometimes when we're caught up in these things, when something affects us personally, maybe, or it feels a little bit too close, maybe some of our friends or our families, some of these issues, it can feel like people who are the poorest, people who are in minorities, people who are a little bit different, people are really being targeted and get a really bad rap, and it can be really difficult, and it can feel that we need to do something, and saying look within yourself and change within yourself can just feel like it's not enough. It can just feel like that just isn't enough. We need to do something. And I know that feeling. I really do know that feeling. I know that frustration, that annoyance, that need, that want to do something. And yet what we are called to do, if we really want to change the world, if we really want sustainable change, like Bec was talking about, if we really want these things to be different, the only place they are ever going to change is if we have the courage to go inside and to look at ourselves and to examine who we are. Because it can really feel as if there is something out there that we need to fight so these things will change. And very much when we have these feelings and when we are in these places, it looks like it's not me. I do the right thing. I can see something here, and this other person who doesn't see what I'm seeing needs to be different. And it can feel really, it can feel as if it can't possibly be true that me seeing something more clearly, you know, bringing it back and me changing and me seeing something more clearly can't be the thing that will change the world. And I may well have shared this story before because it's something that hugely impacted me. What I see around this is that the way that we will change the world, the way that we will save this planet, the way that that Black lives truly will be equal to any others, women will be equal to, the way that we will have a peaceful, loving world is by all coming together, by seeing that I am you and you are me, and looking at the person that we most want to fight against, that we most hate, and seeing that that person is a reflection of us. And so if we make those changes within ourselves, the change will happen out in the world. And I know, you know, that doesn't sound as if it's possible. It doesn't sound as if that can possibly be how it works. But from personal experience on a small scale, I have seen that work, and I have seen that Bec and I have seen it work in our clients so much that I can't fight for any other kind of change. I can't stand here and talk about any other way to change things. Anyway, I was going to share this story. There's a man named Bill Cummings, and I'm sure you can probably find the video. I'm sure we have shared the video off the back of our show. But he talks about when his daughter was raped, and he was so angry. And I'm sure anyone, even if we've never been in a position like that, it's not a far cry to imagine what that might feel like, something like that, the violation of that. And to have that, have the realization that Bill, when this happened, had the realization that he had the capacity, the capability in him to kill someone. And I think that shocked him. And then a few years later, and I am paraphrasing, if you hear, I'm sure he tells the story, he will absolutely tell the story better than me. But a few years later down the line, he was working in prisons and working with some really lifers, you know, people who were in prison for really nasty crimes. And he was working with a man who was a rapist and a murderer. And this man found out about Bill's story and what had happened to him. And this man looked Bill in the eyes and said, "I'm really, really sorry for what happened to your daughter." And in that moment, Bill saw that this man who had done some really, really bad things, he was a rapist and a murderer, he saw that this man also had the capacity for love and compassion. And Bill realized that all of us are interchangeable. And although some of us don't want to see that, don't want to know that, don't want to face that, it is that will change things in the world. When we see that the person who is doing the thing that most upsets you, that most hurts you, that most offends you, if it looks as if people are doing things that are against our planet, that are against minorities, that are against anything that is the thing that is most precious to you, if we don't realize that we have that same capacity within us too, and come together instead of fighting and tearing things down and tearing things apart. If we want this world to be more united and more loving and people to be included, that has to start inside us. That is the only place, because the division, the every war that is being fought in this world starts inside you. And if you have the courage to face that, if you have the courage to look at that, you might be blown away by what you see.
When kind of I look out into the world, or other people, you look out into the world and see something that it feels like it needs to be different, we can very, very easily tell ourselves the story. The only way that is going to be different is if I get angry, if I make a stand, if I control and push and ensure that another person or a group of people behave differently. But what I really see about that is when that's what we're doing, when we're out in the world trying to squash the problem, trying to fight the problem, spreading more anger and fear and hatred, we're actually just going to make the problem, we can possibly squash it down over here, but it's going to pop up somewhere else. We don't bring about change from anger. And it can feel like anger's such an urgent feeling, isn't it? It really pushes us. It makes us kind of act and react. And it can feel like what we're saying here is don't take action. And for me, it's like, I don't know if you should take action. I don't know if I should take action. I don't know who should take what actions. But what I know is when we come from that quieter place within us, any actions we do take from a clear mind, from a loving, compassionate heart, those actions will have an impact. And when we're trying to squash people, when we're trying to spread our anger to make something different, whatever we do out in the world, it won't last. It will, in some way, something will come out somewhere else, in you, in other people, in a group, in a in a world movement. We can't change other people's behaviors and responses and actions through anger and fear and hatred for very long. That just isn't how this works. And I know for the longest time for me, I struggled with that. I was like, yeah, but we have to change the world. We have to make, we have to bring peace about. But as soon as you say the words out loud, how do you bring about peace through war and anger and hatred? It's nonsense. We know that. You can hear it in the way, those words come out. How to bring about peace through hatred and fear and anger and controlling? Not possible. We bring about peace by being peace. We bring about more love in the world by being the love in the world. And I don't know, you may have seen some of the stuff that I've been posting on Facebook recently. We're kind of starting a revolution from our little farmhouse in North Devon, all about living from love, not fear. And, I don't know who's watching this. I don't know who, I might know you, but I don't know who you are in this moment and where you're at. But the invitation here, if you're seeing something you feel needs to change, the invitation is to be really raw and honest with yourself. Where are you coming from? Where are you living from? What are you putting out into the world? Is it fear, anger, and hatred? or is it peace and love and a real knowledge of yourself? Because I think just from saying those words out loud, you know which one's going to make the difference in the world. We know this. This isn't about, for me, this isn't about sitting back and going, oh, the world's perfectly fine, I'll just not do anything. It's about truly knowing who you are and where you're coming from. And in the knowing of that, whatever action you are called to take, and it might be some huge movement, I don't know, or it might simply be to love yourself. That might be all that you need to do right now, because sometimes that's all it needs to be. And actually, that's quite huge. You know, I'm saying that and then I'm going, actually, that's massive. That's massive.
Totally.
To know and love yourself is humongous.
Yeah.
And it gives a bigger gift to the world, and it creates more ripples of change than you won't be able to stop the ripples of change that come from that. Trust me, we've lived it and we've seen other people live it too. So really the invitation here, you know, is it the time to fight for change? It's the time to love change. And to love that starting with you. Because I guarantee, you know, look at what's happened in the world and where we're at and where these things are at, and tell me what you think has changed from the anger and the fear that people are bringing to those situations. It's not the answer. We only have to look and see what's happening to know it can't be the answer. And when we look back in history, we can see that the places where change has actually happened and been sustained has been through loving, compassionate changes that individuals have made in their lives. And that just moves out into the world without us even really having to, we don't have to force it. You know, the words force and fight, I don't know, for me anyway, they generate a kind of energy it's not so clean, it doesn't taste so good in my mouth, it doesn't feel so good in my body. It kind of comes with an energy of desperation and fear. And what we're pointing to here is to notice the energy in you when you connect with knowing that it starts with you, because you do know that. We all know that. It sounds, I don't know, sometimes it can sound trite, but it's just absolute truth in this. It only starts with you.
And I know we've talked before about the pendulum and about people, you know, being on one side and people being another. And what I see around these things that happen in the world that we get very upset about, that we get very hurt by, that we get very angry and wound up by, it feels as if the person, the perpetrator, the person who's doing something is on one side of this pendulum. And it's very, very easy to position yourself on the exact opposite side of the pendulum. And that just, those two things are what actually weirdly keeps the problem alive. The fact that people are oppressing certain people, and then the fact that people are fighting against this oppression of the people. These are the two stances that weirdly, these two things happening keep this going. And if one person moves to this place of balance that we talk about, if we move into balance, you can actually see it here. You know, if you have these two things, they sustain each other. You know, they keep each other there. If someone moves to here, this can't be sustained. Somebody can't stay here if the other person is here. And although it can feel like the right thing to do, and trust me, I've done it. The reason that I know I have been this person, I have been the one that sustains this that's going on. But to move into this place of balance, and it takes courage. It's not easy. It can feel as if courage, and feel as if someone does something bad, that the fighting back against it, this position is the most courageous position. But actually what we are talking about, to move into a place of balance, that's the warrior's journey that we were talking about at the beginning. And the reason that it is a warrior's journey is because, to me, I read something about a warrior before I started that, and a warrior, it talked all about courage and reflection, and I think it takes a lot of courage to come to a place of balance, because it is very, very easy when somebody has done something wrong to to separate ourselves from that, to say, I'm not like that, I'm the exact opposite of that, I am not that person. And yet what we are pointing to is seeing that anybody that you look at, given their thinking and given where they are, given what they understand, and given you would be doing what they are doing. And I know when I used to do my weekly meetups, this would be something that would often come up in those meetings, and we would talk about it. And, you know, people in the room would be like, I would never do that. And one of the things that, if you've been around us very long, if you're in our Facebook group, if you do anything, you see that we do little challenges and things like that. And the reasons we do those challenges is for that reason, to have an experience and to actually see. Every time you say, if you see somebody doing something and you say, I would never do that, look inside and be absolutely honest with yourself. You will find a place where if you look and you are courageous and you are prepared to genuinely look at yourself, you will see a place where you have lied, you have cheated, you have taken something that isn't yours, you have been cruel to somebody who didn't deserve you to be cruel to them. We have all done it. In some small way, we have been that person. And when we accept that I am you and you are me, and when we stop ourselves saying this, I would never do that, and actually go inside and find the place where you're doing something like that and stop. And it absolutely does take courage. It takes living from love, not fear, to do that. And I, for one, slip up and mess up on this day in and day out. But like Bec said, it is a revolution that we are working on moment to moment, day to day in our lives, to put more love out into the world. Because I honestly believe the way to change the things that hurt us, to change the things that upset us, to change the things that make us angry and make us think, I don't want to be a human being. If we have the courage to come back and change those things within us, the world could change in an instant if enough of us did that.
So hopefully that's gone some way to answering the question and talking on the topic of change. If it's brought anything up for you, because I know sometimes
if we've been the ones that have pushed your buttons.
Yeah, I know it's not always the easiest conversation to have. So if there's anything in that you want to ask more about, you want to check in with us about, either comment below this or send us a message. We're very accessible and we're always happy to talk about this because it's so important. So yeah, thank you for staying with us. So next week we've got an equally controversial topic. This is in Deb's words. We're going to talk about next week seeing through your own bullshit, because really that's what this conversation invites, is that we all come to the table with our own kind of stories, our own bullshit. And the more that we are brave enough and that courage we've been talking about today to look that in the face and see through it, actually that's where personal transformation takes place. So our topic next week is seeing through your own bullshit. And we can't wait for you to join us then.
Yeah, who knows what's going to come out next week?
What bullshit we're going to talk about next week. Yeah. But it'll be great to have you with us.
Absolutely, it will. So don't forget, I will try to remember to put the links below for anything that we have talked about today. Feel free to be in touch. Don't forget, finding your voice and the warrior's journey, and hopefully we will see you somewhere soon.
Yeah, thanks
Take
for
care.
joining us.
Bye.
Take care.